Hello, Wren Lloyd. Welcome to the Quantum Health Connection podcast. We are
Glad
so
to be here.
delighted to chat with you today. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's
Yeah,
really nice to be here. We've just
yeah,
had a really good chat. We should have recorded all of that bit as well, but I'm sure it'll all come back again because it'll be relevant in
yeah.
conversation.
Whatever needed will come out, right?
It will
Yeah,
always.
yeah,
So
100%.
excited. We bombarded you with questions, and right away you could just feel the energy, which is so beautiful, which is what it's all about with homeopathy. So
Yeah.
tell us how you were energetically drawn to this line of work. Like, where in your life did that become a thing for you?
Oh, well, the first time I ever came across homeopathy, my mum had been laid up for a long time, for about 3 weeks, with a slip disc. I think she was driving our VW camper van and with the stick shift had been a bit stiff or something like that, and she'd thrown her back out. And she was in bed for a long time. And I know that there were lots of processes going on trying to heal her. And there was a woman lived behind a green hedge, across the road, a Dutch lady. We never saw her. Very big, tall green hedge. She was a bit of a mystery. And then she came over and she put a little pill under my mum's tongue, probably bryonia, I'm guessing. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
guessing. But she's still around. I've been in contact with her recently. She's still practicing part time. And I was 15 then. I'm 59 now. So this, what,
Wow.
44 years ago? Something? Have I done the maths? And my mum just got up half an hour later and was walking about. So, like, you don't forget that,
No.
at 15 years old. But you are so entrenched in the allopathic system that it never occurs to you as a 15-year-old, or even did it occur to my mum really,
Mm.
for us to just use homeopathy. It never really happened. So I came back to it. Maybe, I mean, she used to give me Califos because she thought I was highly strung. So she used to poke a bit of that in me now and again. But she was probably right, actually. But I think I was fairly insulted by it and resistant. I've got a number of kids who are quite similar. And anyway, so I got to 33 and I was living in America. I was a Montessori teacher.
Oh, I didn't know you lived here. Cool.
Yeah, I lived in Massachusetts, yeah, in the
Okay, cool.
90s. And so I was pregnant with my second child at this point, and I had been living on antihistamines about 10 years, I think, at this
Mm.
point. I think I'd started living on them when I was 17, so longer than 10 years. That's even longer. I was 33, so we can do some more maths, nearly 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to take anything in pregnancy. And so I said to my co-worker, who was a homeopath and a Montessori teacher,
It came
um,
back to you again.
what am I going to do about this, right?
Uh,
And so she gave me histaminum hydrochloricum, and I've just not had any allopathy since. But also, then I moved back to the UK. I went house hunting, moved into the house that belonged to a homeopath, and it was just like, and,
yeah.
and then it was just like one thing after another. And then 2004, I was planning to train, and then I was pregnant with my third child. And so I didn't at that point because I had to home educate my second child. And so
Mm.
I home educated myself in homeopathy, but I also ran like a herbal tea company for people who couldn't produce enough breast milk and things like that.
Nice.
It was called Mother's Balm.
Mm.
And so I was always kind of in herbs, and as a child, we were always in herbs as well, particularly like yarrow tea when you had a fever or some kind of fluey thing. And always foraging in the garden for different things to put in the salad, and etc. So I was kind of always a bit in that world. And then just as my kids, when I was homeschooling them, when they were kind of getting a bit more independent, I was homeschooling myself to be a homeopath. And so I went straight to the core. I was right there with Hahnemann reading the Organon, and lots of work by Phyllis Spite, who I really like, and
Mm.
H.A. Roberts. And so I was kind of doing
Yeah.
all their course books and learning to be a homeopath. And then I went to do the e-learning with George Vithulkas, but I did the UK version, which was I used to go down from the top of the country pretty much down to the very bottom to Bath to go and study one weekend a month, and it was
Mm.
mighty cool. So I did 2 years of that, and then I just when I graduated, I was already in a homeopathic practice building group, and I was administrating that co-administrating that group, and then I started teaching homeopathic practice building. When I graduated, I had 50 clients already, so it was I was busy.
Wow.
I was
That was
busy
busy.
under
Yeah.
supervision, and when my school I know it's possible. So I'm about to found a school in September, and that is our plan that they will be practicing in the final year and come out you know, with a practice.
Yeah.
Tell us all
Mm.
about your school. I know maybe this is premature, but I really want to hear about it. What's it called? Tell us
Yeah.
all the important details.
It's called the Inspire School of Homeopathic Practice, and it's international. It's not yet accredited because just in the first year. But so I've been a teacher of one sort and another for a long time. I was a sociologist before I was a teacher, and my specialism was like discrimination and education. So you can imagine I'm quite hot on the mindset work that you need as a homeopath, and I'm quite hot on education in terms of personalized education, looking
Mm.
at your learning style. And so it's a
Wow.
small school, it's a small intake. Um, we are not going to be doing dry learning. We're going to be doing learning that's really set in context.
Mm.
So I advertise it as more of an apprenticeship. So it
Mm.
really is more of an apprenticeship rather than book learning. You're really in cases from the beginning. I also I also co-run a project in Gambia with my very good friend Samina Khan, who set up a clinic in Gambia in Mandua
Mm.
about 2012. And so I'd known whilst I was studying, I knew about this clinic, and I always had this calling to go to this clinic, but I had small kids and so on. But about a year and a half ago, we set it back up again with telehealth. And so now we have like more than 100 volunteers, and I tend to administrate the volunteers to make sure they're in the right places at the right time and that they're not burning themselves out. So one of the options our school will have is to have a clinic inside that setting as well as an acute clinic. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for practice
Mm.
and for learning to communicate with the general public, because most of the time when people graduate as homeopaths, they don't know how to be homeopaths. They know how to do homeopathy, but actually how to communicate so that they get clients, so that they can actually be a homeopath. That's the missing link in training most of the time. I think internationally, worldwide. I think that's
Mm.
a big gap in training. So my plan is I've spent such a lot of time teaching people to build their practices, but it's in a situation where they're working on other jobs, they're in a level of isolation, and you're trying to scaffold them in that setting. So we're going to work in the school, we're going to work smarter, not harder. When you produce your assignments to show me what you understand, they're going to be in a form that shows other people outside, potential clients, what you understand. So you'll
Mm.
be teaching people in the community, potential clients, about homeopathy, and you will be gaining know, like, and trust at the same time. So you gradually build your audience. So by the time you come to your third year, it's not difficult for you to get clients in order to do your student cases.
Mm.
We've got more student cases than most diplomas because it's an apprenticeship style diploma. So
Mhm.
most say 10 to 15, and we've got 30. So you'll be doing 10 to 15 of random cases and 15 inside a particular area. So for me, my specialism is
Mm.
autism, neurodevelopmental health. And so if your special interest is like endocrine health in women, then you will take 15 cases focused around that area. And that enables you to really hone your marketing in that area, hone your expertise and your understanding of pathology and disease in that area, your understanding of repertory materia medica in that area. So
Mhm.
although we're holists, right, so we do everything and we will still see everybody. We never turn away patients. We never say, I can't see you, I'm an autism homeopath, right? We see everybody because we're holists, we're homeopaths.
Yeah.
However, for marketing purposes, you've got to kind of like speak to a finite group of people because they need to hear you repeatedly. And if you're trying to speak out to the whole world,
Yep.
it's your efforts are just very scattered. So a big part of what we do is in the school, in the apprenticeship style training, is to bring that homeopathic practice building understanding in from early, and then to you come out with like 15 testimonials, which is,
Those are
it's pretty
Huge.
gold.
hardcore. You're
Yeah.
really going to be able to know your stuff
That's right.
and say that you know your stuff, and you're also, more importantly, going to feel like you know your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel like you know what you're doing.
Absolutely
clinical
brilliant that you're
confidence.
doing
Yeah,
that. It's just brilliant because know, like, and trust is the key, right, to building
it
any
is.
kind of
Yeah,
business. And then being able, and it's really interesting how back in the day when I was doing my full psychotherapy practice, I decided
yeah,
I was going to specialize in couples. Now I was like, what was I thinking? But anyways, I had all people wanting to come and see me for everything else as well, because when you
yeah. Of course.
specialize, it indicates a level of proficiency that people want to
Yes,
see you no matter what your niche is. But also, you have like a special superpower that you're bringing to your school, Ren. So not
yeah,
only are you preparing your student, or you will be preparing your students with all of that amazing stuff, you're also spiritually fortifying them with something
yes,
called the three principles.
yes. Hallelujah. Yeah, absolutely. And so the way that's come about is that that's been a journey I've been on, and I qualified with Ian Watson this year, earlier in the year. It's just I was listening to one of your past episodes. It's the Oh My episode,
Mm, mm,
and you were saying about the that you'd come from sort of cognitive behavior therapy to the somatic work, and then I was thinking I didn't get further through that episode before I had to come in here. And I was thinking, I wonder if she's gone to 3P after that. Has she gone to the three principles? Because it feels to me like that's a natural progression, it really is. And the great thing about three principles is it really helps you to see self-responsibility
Oh
and to
yeah.
see where your judgments are coming from.
Yep.
And it seems to me that as homeopaths, we need a lot more training that psychotherapists have and counselors have. We
Absolutely.
need that awareness of our own patterns. We need that awareness of our own responsibility, because what we will tend to do is project our stuff onto our clients. And there's two
mm.
problems with that. One being that if you're projecting, you're looking in a mirror of yourself, you're not seeing your client. And this is, for me, is a really important fact as a homeopath. You've got to be able to see your client, not what you've divorced in yourself and projecting onto the outside unawares. We're all doing that. So to hold responsibility with somebody who comes to you and brings to you their deepest vulnerability. That's what
Mm,
happens. You're not 10
mm,
minutes in with a doctor. You're an hour in with a homeopath who's listening to everything that makes you tick deep down, the things that people bring to us. I've always been absolutely amazed, and I don't often use the word humbled, because
Mm.
often it's used a bit disingenuously, but actually I have been humbled by what people will bring, by what they will come and reveal to you. And so I understand really keenly how important it is for us to be really good custodians. And I have been on the other end of an experience where that wasn't really the case, where it's I'm not inclined to judge the person. It was something they couldn't see was happening. I just would love to raise homeopaths, raise homeopaths. I'd love to train homeopaths who really can see what they're responsible for, what they're creating. And 3P, three principles, is all about the understanding that you are creating the reality you're living in, but only 100% of it. Only 100% of the reality you're living in. That's a real Ian Watson thing to say. Only 100%. I love when he says that. And so it's so important. It's like a fast track, all that process you go through in psychotherapy of becoming self-aware and of becoming self-responsible. Even in the most difficult moments, you have still created your response to those difficult moments. That level of self-responsibility, three
Yeah.
principles, fast tracks you to that place. And so the first 7 months of the diploma, we're going to be studying the three principles alongside
I love it.
homeopathy, alongside homeopathic practice building. So it's like a three-pronged, it's a tripod. We love a tripod in homeopathy, don't we? We love a tripod. So you want three key notes that really resonate before you feel comfortable in a remedy. And it's a little bit like that. We've got a decent tripod in the Inspire School homeopathic practice.
There's so many good things to talk about, Ren, with all the things you just said. Because, I mean, first of all, I've loved how and you were telling your story, how homeopathy kept coming back to your life. And it was like,
Yes.
it was something that you needed to do. And the universe was kind of like, oh, yeah, homeopathy. Oh, yeah, homeopathy. Until you finally like, yeah, oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I love that part of it. And I love your school sounds Oh my goodness, what
It's
a
going to be
gift.
divine. It's going to be
Yeah,
divine.
it's going to be an absolute gift.
I can
And I think
feel it.
a lot of
Mm.
homeopaths do come out of like out of school. First of all, you should be if you're in a homeopathic school, you should be under treatment and also really
Yes.
working on yourself because you have to really do a lot of work to be a good homeopath on yourself. I
Yeah,
would definitely
yeah.
say that. And then the fact that you're helping them with the marketing and all that, like piece is huge because we do come out of those schools, be like, okay, now what? They're thrown into the
Yeah.
wolves. Like we don't have clients, we have to figure this out. How do I get people to know who I am and what a homeopath is? Because people don't even know what it is. Like, so that is
This bit can
huge.
drive me to tears. This little bit here can actually make me tearful quite easily. And this is the thought that as somebody that te has taught practice building for a long time, what I've heard is the mission that the person went into training with. People go in with a calling, just like I was called. And I'm guessing 100% you both were called into homeopathy in some way. So people come in with that mission. They've experienced some kind of radical healing. It's really rare that that's not what has happened. It's rare for people to come in without having that experience. They are so grateful for that healing. They
Yeah.
want to bring it to other people. So that's where they go into training. They go into training, they come out of the other end without the opportunity to bring it to other people because the majority of them don't know how to find people to bring it to. They've got no clients. And
Right.
so that part, it breaks my heart that they've come with this calling
Hmm.
and they haven't been given the skills in the process because we haven't yet realized we haven't seemed to have realized. I'm not sure why that you can't be a homeopath if you've got no clients.
That's a
You can't
huge
be
gift.
one. They're teaching you to be a homeopath, but you can't be one if you have no clients.
Yep.
It's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
I love
bit, the
that.
loss of the mission, the loss of the calling, that they've got this calling, that all of that, like beautiful universal energy was sat there in gratitude. It's the gratitude energy. And it
Hmm.
fizzled out in this process. I feel like if you're the custodian as a teacher, as a director of that energy that somebody brings,
Yes.
and you watch it, you don't nurture it enough in that process, give them enough tools for them to carry that energy out into the world and heal people in the way they are called to heal,
That's right.
that can make me tearful. And I've
Yeah.
heard it so many times that
Yeah.
it makes me tearful.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful. Like we need good homeopaths, number one. We need
Desperately.
more good homeopaths, and we need more homeopaths who are reaching people to help people. So
Yes.
I'm like, it's just, it's so important. Yeah, I love that.
It's
And you're
not so
right.
difficult either. It's not so difficult. There's a basic building block of building a practice. And that is, it's like the number one Lego block with the little dot on the top, single dot. Talk to people about what you do and why you do it. That's the Lego block. And then
Yeah.
everything else we do to build is a combination of those little Lego blocks. You might put four together and you've got a blog post. You might put six together, you've got a podcast.
That's right.
But that's the basic building block. So
Like you grow
yeah.
the homeopath with the knowledge, the foundation, but you're not like
And the
you use the
experience.
word
Yeah,
custodian and nurture. It's exactly that, Ren. You have to nourish
exactly.
their passion for their soul has in order to
Yes.
manifest and
Yes.
apply the knowledge and manifest themselves as a homeopath. So the fact that you're doing the whole approach, it's a holistic approach.
Yes. We're
Everybody
taking
should be
them on
doing
that
that. So
path.
the
They come
nourishing
to
part,
us.
though, is the hard part. That's the hard part. It's easy to teach people. Well, not easy. It seems easier just to give them the knowledge and like here's what you do here, the differential diagnosis, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Nourishing their spirit is not the easiest part, though.
It's like almost like they come and they put this calling, they put faith in you that you're going to help them go from A to B.
Mm.
They've got this calling and you're going to help them go to A to B. That's why they've come to you.
Yeah.
And yet they go to from A to B, and the B is not be a homeopath. It's a very low rate of be a homeopath. Whereas what I want is the A to B is like the B you get to is you are already a homeopath. You're being one. When you
Mhm.
graduate, you've been being one for a while, and you graduate in a small practice group, which
Yeah.
is going to nurture you, and you stay inside. We've got a membership inside the school. You stay inside the membership and you nurture the people that are coming behind you, with their missions, and we're all
Love that.
custodians of each other's missions, because it's so if you have that calling and it's there in your body and your body's being called to do this thing, that for me is divine. To let it just like sit on dry ground is
Mm.
Oh,
Sad. It's sad. It's like wasted potential, like almost. Yeah. I love that
is
you're
very
making this
sad.
community too. Like also,
Yes.
like that's going to be something that they can be in after they graduate. Is that what you said?
Exactly, because people get
Perfect.
ejected, they get kind
Yeah.
of fledged, and
Yep.
then I see it all the time. There's a bunch of people are fledging right now, yeah, and I'm in contact with a lot of homeopaths. Either they're homeopath or I'm teaching them something, like I'm in the community. I'm pretty generous with my time with homeopaths coming through. So I know a
Mhm.
bunch of them. I hear their stories, and what they say almost universally is they feel isolated and
Yeah.
they come out the other end. And it can be a little bit like factory farming sometimes because they kind of come out the other end and then
now what? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm on
exactly
my
what I
own.
felt. I felt that
Yes.
after I graduated, I was like, wait a minute, it's done. I want to
Now what do
still,
I do?
I want to like, first of all, homeopathy is literally a never-ending rabbit hole. Like
Yes.
when I graduated, I was like, oh, we just learned very classical traditional homeopathy and beautiful, amazing foundation. It's this cornerstone of what I
Wonderful.
do,
Mm.
right? But there's so much more to learn that I didn't learn.
And there's
Sarcoids,
another
tissue
20
salts,
methodologies.
homeopathic detox, all these other methods that I didn't know. I was like, so I'm like
Yeah.
immersing myself in every book I can find on all these things.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like talk to other homeopaths. Like I wanted a community where I can like learn from other people. Partly why I invite people on I mean, it is why
Yeah.
selfishly on the podcast, I want to
Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
people like you because
Same
I
for
want to
me.
continue learning from all of these amazing people. Like we should
Yep.
all be talking to each other. We shouldn't be on our own island because that's how we get better. Like I used to as a public school teacher, I taught special ed for 15 years. Of
Yes.
course, I went to my colleagues and said, I'm having trouble with so and so. What is your idea of how to get him to learn this or his behavior or
Yes.
whatever? We, of course, that's what we do. We speak to each other. So we need that. We shouldn't be working in isolation. We should be working together in communities. And in the past, that's what they did. They worked
That is
together,
correct.
you
That's
know?
correct. That's
Uh,
correct. But they were
That,
inside the medical community. The medical community operates quite differently, like the
yeah,
allopathic medical community and
yeah,
the old medical
yes,
homeopathic community. They were much more, there was much more of like an apprenticeship path
yes.
inside. So I've been listening to homeopaths for the last decade.
Mm,
I've been experiencing what was missing for me as a patient and as a homeopath, as a newly grad, etc. And I've also been listening to all the different people that I've taught in one form or another. And really what I'm trying to do is bring together something that covers what needs covering, that people feel supported. And when I came into this profession properly, I qualified 10 years ago. And when I came into the profession, I was co-adminning the homeopathic practice building Facebook group, support group. And I remember Alan Freestone saying over and over again, you bunch, you're like crabs in a bucket. There's so much syphilitic miasm in this profession. He was giving it a lot of yada yada yada, like slap. Have a slap round the ears, sort yourselves out. Too much poverty consciousness, not enough generosity, etc. And
mm,
I really come from that position of just like abundance and plenty, and the
yeah,
more that we work together the better. We
yes.
stand on the shoulders of giants. Why are we being so tight?
Mhm,
Like, why are we being so stingy? And so
mhm,
so I've been working that 10 years probably to try to change that culture in one way or another. And I think we are succeeding. We are, and part of that for me is I got described as a trailblazer a couple of times, and I was very embarrassed initially when when that was like, I was like, no, don't do that to me. But like, put me on a pedestal. I can't, like stay on. But no, it's about really sort of developing community, and the first step, the building block of it, is generosity with other people. Just being generous with. And you get so much back as a result. I have a team, International Homeopaths for Autism and Neurodevelopmental Health, and there are 21 of us in there, and it's the best
mm,
family on the planet. It's
mm.
Was
just
it like you
beautiful
guys
to
meet
see.
as a group regularly, or how does it work?
Yeah, we do 2 hours on a Friday, so we're 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock UK time on a Friday. We do what I call case busting. This
Oh,
is my favorite. It's a bit like ghost busting, but it's you just looking at cases that are stuck cases, because we
Hmm.
really work in the area of stuck cases.
Is that
And
only for is that like a member thing that you do? Other people can join it, or is it only
yeah,
for
for
your team?
anybody, any homeopath, you kind of need to be a homeopath or somewhat into your training as a
Mm,
homeopath.
cool.
Um, it's a kind of, we do take students because we're like a nursery tank. You have to be pretty certain, or
Yeah.
100% certain, 98% certain that you want to work with children who are autistic, to work with children with PANS-PANDAS, which is often a comorbidity with
Yep.
autism, any sort of neurodevelopmental health aspects in children. You kind of want to be niched in that area, that this is where your special interest is. Most of my team have autistic children or children who've recovered from PANS-PANDAS. So there's
Yep.
very few of us that don't have that experience with our children. And so we tend to come in on a calling basis. There's a bit of a calling to come in. And it's a great place to learn how to manage those difficult cases, because they are difficult cases. And
Yeah.
if we share our knowledge, we can unstick stuck cases and obstructed cases. We can do that work. I know, Vanessa, you were told that these are incurable cases. I was told that as well, which is why I end up working where I work, because in this area, because no, for me, nobody gets left behind. When I'm told you don't even take those cases because you can't do anything for them, I'm just like, what?
Yeah. Same thing with
These are
Marcel.
children, right?
And all, I mean, I was a special ed teacher, so that,
Marcel, no
yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
It's not
Marcel was the
easy,
same
but
kind of thing. Like,
doable. Mm,
But I was told that about mast cell activation syndrome too.
yeah,
And I developed basically mast cell activation syndrome after
ditto.
the
Yeah.
C19 vaccines. So I
Mm,
was told that about mast cell, and I was told that about autism cases, that they're
yeah.
most likely going to be incurable. And I know that did, I mean, as a formal special ed teacher, that certainly hit my heart. Like I was like,
Yeah, me
that
too.
doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. I'm like maybe if we, but I also know that you do a lot of homeopathic detox and use other methods.
I do.
And I listened to your podcast and learned a lot from just gleaming from that. I was like, oh, wait, there's other things we can do. We don't have to
There's
just give like
loads.
this just one prescription, right?
Yeah,
Like, and just wait and watch and see. There are other things, there are blocks that we can support. I mean,
yeah,
I've read Tina Smith's book. I study
yeah,
with
yeah,
Anka Zimmerman. Like, there are
yeah.
other things that we can do here. And that was really eye-opening to me, and hearing where you came from, like very classical
I
Vatuka
know,
trained,
I
and
know.
seeing where you've come, and now you sell a homeopathic detox, like I think course and
Of
whatnot as
course, yeah.
well.
Yep,
And I'm
yep.
like, okay, like if we can remove these blocks, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
I've
quite
I've
a
seen
step.
I've seen it happen. I know it works.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I mean, it makes a huge difference. And so maybe the methods weren't what we needed to look outside of the box of our methodology is what we needed to do
Yeah,
to
I
say that
wonder
instead of
about that.
saying, yeah,
I was scared to step into homeopathic detox because it's so outside of the church that I was trained in.
yeah,
Like the homeopathic church that I was trained in.
Yes.
And
hmm
I was very aware that I was stepping outside of that church. And it's, I was just like, What am I going to do?" And I thought, well, I'll set up my team, because really what I want to do is go back to doing pure classical homeopathy, right? That's what I want to be doing. So all the cases where I can't do pure classical homeopathy, where I have to do homeopathic detox, I'll train my team and give them those cases. Then I can go back to being a pure classical homeopath, right? But the thing is that I'd been watching, again, it was Alan Freestone, because he's an autism specialist. That's part of what pulled me in here. But I have autistic kids, so like I was going to come here anyway. Um,
Mm,
but I was watching him, and I watched his work for about a year before I would put my foot in to
mm,
homeopathic detox, because I was just like, nah, this is just like, nah, nah. But I was trained by George Vathorkas to track cases really well in terms of what direction they're going in. This is like a really hardcore part of my training that I'll also bring into my school training. It meant that I could observe Alan's cases. I could see they were moving in the right direction.
yep.
So I could see and as soon as I could see that they were moving in the right direction, I couldn't deny my patients homeopathic detox.
Is that how you got out of the church?
Well, I don't even know. I don't know if they've flung me out yet. So nobody's ever spoken to me about it.
But that allowed you to reconcile with this sort of okay, we only can play in this box, to like, if it helps my client and they're getting
I
traction
have
and
to
getting
do it.
better,
Yeah.
then it's almost unethical not to.
It is unethical not to. It's
Yeah.
straightforward dogma not to. But I
Yes.
was still
Exactly.
wanting just to sort of go back to classical homeopathy and not have to do this thing. I still wanted to go there. So, but in the process of training my team, I actually became really comfortable with doing the detox. And the part of the reason was for me, psychologically, I didn't need my church anymore because I'd built myself a family.
There you
And
go.
so like this need to keep going back and being
Yeah.
acceptable to my
Yeah.
originating school. I really
Yeah.
understand that relationship you have as a homeopath with your school. I understand that. This is, that's
Hmm.
why I know what kind of custodian you have to be. And my school is going to teach you really good classical, but it's also in the third year in particular going to open up all the methodology for you so that
Good.
you can see all the different methodology and you can pursue that in postgrad. You'll have a taste of it. But there's a tendency, because there's so much, to feel like you're going to be a perpetual student. And really what you need to do is practice. You need to
Yes.
see
Yeah.
more patients. That's where you do your learning. But it's going to be
Mhm.
core classical with an understanding of all this breadth of methodology that comes with it.
So true. I always say, I've, like I said, I was a special ed teacher. And of
Yeah.
course, you could put yourself in a college and learn all the things, right? You don't learn shit until you actually step in a classroom
Yep.
and
See more
you're in
patients.
charge of those 25 third graders and you got to get them to behave and you got to get them to learn something.
Yes.
That's when you actually learn. So the same thing with being a homeopath. Like you have to put your foot in the fire and you have to do the work, be the homeopath.
Yep.
And when you have a case that's not moving with the classical prescription, you say, well, what else other tools do I have? And knowing those other tools is really
Yep.
important, right? I've got organ therapy, I've got detox, I've got other things I can bring in here, right? So I love what you're bringing. Your school sounds and incredible. It's going to have
Yes.
everything. Like you really, and it's
I
been
get so
accumulating.
excited.
Yeah, it's been accumulating with all
Yeah.
the things that you've learned and put
And all
together.
the different careers that I've had, all the
Yeah,
strange pathways I went down.
yeah.
I'm just like, why is this the first career that I haven't left? I've been in this career for more than a decade and I haven't left, which is
Mm,
what I do is I tend to diversify, go in lots of different directions within the profession. But before I've kind of like reach saturation, I will study until I feel like I'm really good at it, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm bored. I need to go do something else.
Sounds like a
And I
yeah.
difficult
used to be
game.
quite critical of myself for having gone round these so many different careers, if you like, a little bit of
Yeah.
an ADHD kind of profile.
Yeah.
And then when I got to this, I was just like, hang on a minute. Every skill that I learned along the way actually comes together and coalesces in this particular
Yeah.
venture. I
Perfect.
was like, nah, now I understand how the universe works, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm just being pulled by my belly button into this. It's just like the energy of that I feel in my body being pulled into this.
Yeah.
And there's been a method in the madness all along. I've been
Yeah.
guided all along. Yeah, it's
Absolutely. I
gonna be
love
so
that.
cool.
I love that. That's so good. It's so true. We really, if we tune in and we listen, right, and we slow down enough to actually have those moments and we just listen to the universe, or we are guided. Really are
We
divinely
are.
guided. And I really do believe that. And oh man, Heather, you remember we had Robin. This is reminding me of Robin on the podcast when she had mentioned like sometimes we think that things come into our life and we're like, oh crap, this like it's bad. And
It's it.
is it really good
Which
or is
Robin?
it bad?
Robin
But
Tyre.
no, you wouldn't know. Gaylord is her last name. I don't think you'd know her, but I'm like, I just like it's like, is it good or is it bad when things come into our lives? Like we think it's going to be bad, but then it turns out to be, oh, it
Mm,
actually led us down a good path or led us
yeah.
to something that we didn't think was going to happen. And I love that because I really do think like we always think, oh, this is happening to me, but it is always happening for you. And
Yes,
we
in
just
some
have to
way.
like realize, and sometimes it takes time. What was that? What was the purpose behind that? Right. And sometimes it's harder, and sometimes you can play the victims and all that. But I think we really have to tune into like, what is this teaching me? What is this for?
Yes.
How is it for me? Yeah.
Absolutely. Finding there's always a diamond in there somewhere. The diamonds are found inside an ore, right? Inside
Mm.
like some solid rocky excrescence, and you've got this diamond inside. I always think of I was very touched by Caroline Ingalls, Laura Ingalls Wilder's mom. Little House on the Prairie. I just
Figure
always
it out.
remember reading the books to my kids, and she had an indomitable spirit. So she's always, whatever went down, she would kind of come back up and find whatever silver lining there was, whatever good there was in whatever positive there was in the situation.
Yeah.
She would be sure to find it. So she's always in a hopeful state, and whatever's going down. And she's not glittering a turd, as we say in the UK. She's not doing fake positive. She's really
Right.
not. She's
Toxic
actually
positivity. We,
finding.
we call it toxic positivity here.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not doing that. She's actually, just like like we should, like we do in 3P as well, just like sitting with the feeling that's there,
The
processing
suck.
the feelings that's there, but then choosing, since you're choosing your entire reality, you might as well choose one that's good for you, right? That works for you rather than one that isn't. Only if you think you're not in control of this are you going to choose one that's going to be sucky. So you just sat there finding the next step. Where's the next, what's the next step? What came out of this that I can utilize? Always. Mm.
Hmm. I love that. I really do believe we create our own reality. I believe we choose it all from
Only
the
100% of the time.
from the people the people 100 only 100 sorry. Only yeah, I love that. I'm gonna start using that one. That's a good one. That's for Ian. Okay.
Quoting Ian.
Yeah. So like we choose our parents, our children choose us. It's all I
Quite
believe all
possible,
of
yeah.
that. Right. And then it's like some people I know they sit with that and they're like, well, my reality's really been so crappy. Like, what do you say to people like that? Like, what do you say? Like if
I
they're
want
I
to
know
tell
we
Ren my story though, Vanessa.
all
So
right, well go
with a
ahead, do
client
that
I
then.
had for psychotherapy, it's only the second time I had met with her, and she's really distraught and
Yeah.
family stuff, right? And so I proposed to her this idea of the three principles and that we generate our own thoughts. And she was
Right.
so, I mean, just like taken aback.
She had
She said,
insight. It dropped.
right, but she said, I don't know if I'm not ready to know this. I'm like, well,
Yes.
it's too late. I already said it. And I told Ian that, Ian Watson, because we had the webinar the next day, and he said, he laughed, he sort of his cute little chuckle, and he's like, well, I want to know what happens next. So
Yes.
so maybe I'll tell him today. But she's scheduled after that, and then the next morning she canceled the appointment, and then she unsubscribed from me as her provider. She fired me. Right?
Awesome.
Right? I
Awesome.
know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's meant to happen at that point. That's where it's at that point. Well, I have a privileged position that I have a very difficult personal history. And so I came through to self-responsibility down the rough track.
Yeah.
Because when you say to somebody that they're responsible for whatever they're creating, they can come back to you and say, well, what was done to me as a child, etc. And that's really compelling that you're like, I didn't choose what was done to me as a child. Like I couldn't have done anything different. When you're talking that way, you're talking about blame. You're not talking about responsibility. The problem is that in our societies, we hold responsibility and blame in the same cup. They're not in the same cup. You
Mm-hmm.
can you can bear responsibility for something and be entirely innocent, but you're still responsible for it. And so this is how it works, right? I'm about to sort of like crack it all open, and hopefully somebody listening is it's going to land for them. Boom. This is how it works. You have a situation, and a real situation happens, and it happens to like tens or twenties of people. That situation happens, similar situation happens to them, and then there's the therefore that each person comes up with.
Mm-hmm.
They're therefore. That's where they create their reality.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's
Now
where
I'm
your
broken. Now
responsibility sits,
that limiting belief, like
not
now I'm
blame.
broken.
Well,
Yeah.
it might be a number of things. So they what they might come up with is like, look at me, I'm a phoenix. I come up out of these flames. Just look, watch me go. Right?
Mm,
One person responds that way.
yeah.
And for me, I was just like, I had this profound moment in, I think it was 2022, where this was brought right to me. You are responsible for everything you've created, is your own responsibility. It has to be. And I'm just like, well, hang on, how am I supposed to, as a 4-year-old, deal with what happened to me and not make of it what I made of it, which
Yep.
is don't trust
Mm,
human beings.
Yep.
And then
yeah.
I realized that if a building had fallen on me, I wouldn't be against buildings.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I just wouldn't. I would have had the same injuries, perhaps, but I wouldn't be against buildings. I wouldn't have made it mean something about me that a human being had hurt me, right?
Mhm.
The building had hurt me. I know that's an accident. Even at 4, I know that accidents happen, buildings fall down. I'm not going to make it mean anything about me or anything about human beings. But when a human being did something to me, I made it mean something about myself, about my worth, about the human beings, what human beings do. So that was my responsibility, my creation. I couldn't have done differently at the time. I wasn't self-aware, but I held responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Not blame, just responsibility. And
Yeah.
we have 5 senses. It's the only way we interact with the whole world. We have no other interface with the world than our senses. And everything that comes in through our senses has to go through our perception. It has to go through our interpretation. That's the therefore.
Yeah.
Mm.
So each
Mhm.
person will have a different therefore. So, multiple people can go through the same experience. Each person will have a different therefore. And we are
Yeah.
responsible for that. We're not to blame for it, but we are responsible. And once we know we're responsible, we know actually that we can change whatever, we're empowered.
Hmm.
We're empowered.
So it simultaneously can be incredibly liberating, but also for
Absolutely.
some people overwhelming because of the amount of distress they've created in their lives. So how are you going to help? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have to feel distressing that you've done that. I've created a lot of distress in my life,
Mm.
but that was kind of yesterday.
Mm.
So, like what we're actually doing is not only are we creating all of it, we're also creating it every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so anything that we have in the past, we only experience it by creating it right now in this moment,
Yep.
That
PTSD included.
that
PTSD included. And I have what's
yeah.
called complex PTSD, right?
Yeah.
If I go into that kind of state, it's because I had a thought that
Mhm.
cascaded into, and I can't stop that happening. That just happens. But what I can stop is then adding additional thoughts to it, and it will
Yes.
pass very quickly. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's the
Yep.
meaning we make out of it,
It's
basically.
the meaning we give it. Yeah.
Therefore becomes what you said before. Say that again. That was like so perfect. Do you remember what you said? That was
I
like
know, isn't it beautiful?
I was
Isn't
like
it beautiful?
that
Yeah.
was
So
like that was
you have
it.
lots of different people that have the same circumstance. Say you've got 10, 15, 20 people, the same circumstance happens to them. It's like an event that happens.
Yeah.
And that's the same. That's a factual event that happened. And then you have the therefore. Each
Hmm.
person has a different therefore. So
Yeah.
one person might ascend like a phoenix and go, I went through, like something amazing and I came out of that. What a warrior I am. And another person will say, well, this was all done to me and I'm powerless. And well,
Yeah.
and every permutation of everything on the spectrum between those two places, and some that come out, west and east and are completely random, because we're inherently creative, right? But we can only experience what comes through our senses. That's where
Mm.
everything comes. And it doesn't come and it doesn't come and be objective because it has to go through the brain and be interpreted. It becomes subjective.
Mhm.
That's
Mm.
how we create our reality. And a lot of the time we're innocently misusing the gift of thought. That's Sydney Banks. Innocent misuse of the gift of thought.
I
But
love
what
that.
strikes me is now that you know that everything is your creation, nothing hampers you. Nothing hampers you because it's always your choice. So sometimes I'll be like down some rabbit hole, spiraling, like digging myself into a very uncomfortable position. And
Yeah.
one of the things I know is that when I go near something hot and put my hand on it, my the reason it hurts is I'm supposed to move away. And if I go round and find this bit of reality that I'm creating that really creates suffering, I need to remember to move away from it. That's a hot stove. Why am I keeping my hand on there?
Well, some
Because I
people say
think
that
that
you're
I don't get to
avoiding,
choose.
some people say you're avoiding what it is that's trying to come up and be healed. Now, that's going to be the argument from the somatic therapist, right? That whatever
Yeah,
her
that's a
thoughts are a
thought.
reflection of what's stored in the body. So there's a whole lot of nuance here. But I
Mhm.
definitely feel like the 3P approach is more empowering than having to slog through all of the
Yeah.
sensations and process them through to completion, because that's how I was taught in somatic trauma processing.
Exactly. And that's where I'd come in from when I even kind of developed over the last 5 years a form of homeopathy that I call somatic homeopathy, which
Yes,
is
I've heard you talk
incredibly
about that.
useful. It's
Yeah.
wild and incredibly useful. And it just came up in my practice and developed itself
Oh,
in my
Mm,
practice. Very effective, very wild. Happy to
mm.
talk about it at some point. But the thing is then you go into three principles and you're just like, well, actually, they actually have recently debunked the idea that you're storing the energy in your cells. They've
I
debunked it.
know.
The
This
whole
is this
the
is
whole
this
somatic thing has been debunked.
that's like changing my reality right now because
It's
I'm like,
just been
wait a minute.
debunked.
Wait a
And
minute. Like,
Ian debunked it for me some months back.
but then I
He
have a
debunked
question
it
for
for me,
you,
but
Ren, though.
yeah,
Like, okay, so say somebody, like, say a client comes to you and they're like, I don't know, they're riddled with some sort of physical ailment, and you give them
yep,
a remedy for like a Natmar or a carcinosin or a Staphylococcus aureus, right?
yep,
And
yep,
they release all the grief, and then they feel better, right? Then the
yep,
physical ailment goes away, like because they release the grief or they
yep.
release the anger or whatever. So to me, that doesn't make sense because my brain is not really understanding it because I'm like, well, I gave them the Staphylococcus aureus because they had all this repressed anger, and then they released all the anger, and now they don't have UTIs anymore. So I don't
Brilliant.
understand.
Because that's the energy of
But
the
I don't
body,
understand.
isn't it?
Like, isn't that emotion or that energy stored in there?
No,
What
no.
is it then?
It's
Tell me
it's
because I don't
created.
get it.
It's created in every moment.
Okay.
So you only exist in the present, full stop. You do not exist in the past. You only exist in the present. So everything that's happening to you is happening to you in the present. And what you're doing is you're creating that reality right now in the present. So if you have complex PTSD or PTSD, you have a thought. Something happens, you have a thought, and thoughts don't exist alone. They exist with a feeling attached to them. Feelings don't exist alone. They
Mhm.
exist with a thought attached to them. Then they're feelings, as Ian would say, with a TH, or thoughtlings. They don't exist in isolation. But that comes up subconsciously. It just comes up, right? You can't stop it coming up. It comes. We have thoughts that come with feelings. And that's fine. You don't have to stop that. You just let it pass through. But that's what happens. The thought generates a sensation in the body, but you make the sensation mean something.
Mm.
If you don't make the sensation mean something, the sensation just passes. And this is where somatic homeopathy comes in. Because
Mm.
what we do is we distract the mind whilst experiencing sensations.
it's
Mm.
true, because when I was doing the somatic
Yeah.
trauma processing, I was always redirecting them to focus their attention on the
Yes.
sensation in all of its different aspects, the color,
Yes.
I mean the
Yes.
how sharp, how tight, is it pulsing, is it
Yes.
singing,
This is it. This is very similar to what I practice. Yeah.
But as someone who
But
like
it's happening
experienced,
now in the moment. You do not exist in the past.
yes,
You do not exist in the
yes.
future. You only exist in this current moment. So your reality is being created in this very second,
Hmm.
which means you can change it in the next second.
isn't that so powerful and
It's
so
mind
empowering?
blowing.
Yeah, it's so powerful. Now, making me think of another question, and I think Heather and I were just talking about
Go
this
for it.
morning, actually, because so I used to have like chronic extreme pain, and I did
Yes.
cognitive like behavioral therapy, and I would like try to like, and they would try to have me focus on something else or like, being but in my present moment was so painful that I almost
Yeah.
wanted to disassociate from that present moment. I wanted to
Yeah.
be distracted from that present moment because it was my body hurt. So, yeah, what do you think about that? Like, explain
I
that.
recognize that. I recognize that really well. And that was the case for me. I was living outside of my body until I was 54. I'm 59 now.
Yeah.
So 5 years ago, I was living outside of my body because it was too painful to be inside my body. And as a child, I saw the world from here. I was hovering above my head and I viewed the world from above my head. And I thought everybody did that. I had no idea. And then around about 44, I kind of dropped in somewhat and I was just like blown away by it. It's like I'm actually in my body. It was the most peculiar thing. And I thought, wow, I'm actually in my body. But it wasn't until I got to 54 or 53, 54 that I actually came into my body. I went through embodiment process with my counselor at the time, and it
Mm.
was agony. I couldn't be in my body. It was too painful. It was what they call
Mm.
the pain body.
Oh yeah.
But I think what it was is that you have memories, you have thoughts. Well, you have memories, right? And they're thoughts, and then you have sensations that come with them. And
Yeah.
then you make meaning of them, and that stacks them up and makes them come more and more and more. And
Yes, yes.
you can develop things like ulcerative colitis. You can develop lots of somatized diseases, right? But you can also undevelop them very quickly with three principles, because you
Hmm.
have an understanding of how you've got subconscious thought coming in, and then you've got thinking that you add to the
I'm,
process.
I'm still wondering if three principles is trumping your homeopathy.
Well, it always will. When I first time I interviewed Ian Watson, I was just like, oh no, I just feel like I'm on this sort of I'd felt for a while like I was on the bus out of homeopathy, because I was
Mm.
going more and more toward the three principles kind of reasoning. I hadn't studied three principles yet, but people kept saying to me, "Oh, you've done three principles, haven't you?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't even know what three principles is," but enough people said it to me that I thought, well, I've got to go and explore what this thing is. But yes, I was like with somatic homeopathy and so on, which is a lot what Heather was describing a minute ago. It's very similar. I was kind of finding myself moving further in, if you like, to the
Hmm.
body, moving further into our responsibility, our thinking processes being, our reality, the reality we're creating, being really responsible for what we're experiencing health wise. I was moving more and more that way. But there's still a
Hmm.
place for 3P is really important. That's why another reason why I'm bringing it to practitioners that I train, not just that they go through that process, but they can take their clients through that process. It's the next step. It's the next step. It's a necessary step. Yeah, very necessary step. However, in the period of time where you're struggling with something, homeopathy can help you, right? You don't have to be in so much pain, you don't have to be in so much suffering, and it can also assist on that route. So Ian's moved pretty much out of homeopathy. He's come through homeopathy into three principles, and pretty much out the other door. For me, I'm kind of like, I can see that I can quite comfortably hover, but I have asked myself this question, why am I training homeopaths and not three principles practitioners? Because we need homeopaths who
We
Yes.
have
do.
Yes.
principles understanding.
And
And
I
Yeah.
that's
think
why
homeopathy can help. I feel like it makes you more yourself than
Of
anything.
course, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's what it
like
does.
that's what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're becoming your authentic self by using
Yes,
homeopathy. So to
absolutely.
me, like I think using those things together is,
Uh,
I mean,
the
I
perfect
think it's a
adjunct.
great marriage because those who are wanting homeopathy will come in the door, and then those who want homeopathy and also want the three principles,
Yeah.
perfect. We can just
They
mhm.
move
can't
it.
help it. They're going to get it anyway.
I was gonna say when they're
They're
in
going to come in for
consultation with
homeopathy.
you.
How do you neuter the three principles out of yourself? You just can't. It's just
No,
like
No,
it's, you're
you
right.
have they call it, it's an understanding, right? That's
yeah.
what it is. It's not a program or anything. It's an understanding.
It's a way
Once
of
you have
living.
that understanding, it's irreversible. And but I can see that it's irreversible. You can't go back and
You
unsee
just
it.
can't unsee it.
You
Well, it's
can't
just,
unsee it.
I mean, I think it's just like another level of awareness, another level of
It
consciousness, right?
is.
Like when
Yeah.
you literally, when I learned homeopathy, I'm like, well, I can't unsee that. Like I'm never
You
gonna unsee
can't.
it. Like you just, that's what happens. So then when you have this in your life, it's like kind of like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like it just becomes a part of you now,
Yeah.
right? And you just embody it. And
Because
then,
it's insight. Because it's
right?
insight. I mean, three
Yes.
principles understanding is all about insight. So what
Yeah.
happens is like, um, you know, you can learn things and attempt to change yourself, or you can understand that you're not broken in the first place, that you have
Yeah.
uh, an underlying stream of well-being, and then on top of that, this is innate well-being. We all have it. If you
Yeah.
you just take a short moment to step out of the reality you're creating, you just find this wonderful well-being sat below. That's your natural state. And then you have this little layer of created stuff on top, which is the innocent misuse of thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it is. And so once you have an understanding of that, then after a period of time, you can try and learn something and you have to keep trying to remember to apply this thing. But if you have insight, when insight drops, you don't have to do anything. That is
Mm.
9/10 of it. And then a little bit of time to see the evidence that something miraculous has changed.
Mm.
Like when insight drops for your client, you can watch you get an eye for it. You watch somebody, you're like, boom, insight just drops. And then you
Mm.
just leave a little bit of a hiatus there. And I learned that from Ian. He'd just be like, shh, everybody quiet for a minute. Insight dropped, that just let them be with it for a second. It's like you can't come back from that. So it's really important part for us to bring this understanding to our clients as
That's
well.
the inside out. Instead of going outside of ourselves to find tools and
Exactly.
strategies and all of those things, we change our understanding and
Massively
understanding of our
empowering.
true nature so that we
Yeah.
embody that knowing, then we are being different, which then naturally results in different behavior patterns.
Absolutely. And when we quieten down the thinking, so you've got subconscious thought that comes with feelings, and you get sensations in the body. But if you quieten down this thinking and you know to quieten it down, and you choose, therefore, what of this are you going to bring to this moment and what are you not going to bring to this moment? When you quieten that down, what you actually hear is your innate wisdom, which is like some massive, like universal thing where you just have all this wisdom. And that's another reason why we teach three principles in the Inspire School of Homeopathic Practice, because you need to be able to hear that wisdom. That's how you're going to work with your
Yes.
clients. It's
Mhm.
like that's the intuitive piece that's so important. That's the bit. And really, you need to be embodied, you need to be well oxygenated, and you need to still this little thought that's just trying to come in and create some havoc.
Don't
Quieten the
believe.
noise down, and then you've got it all there. You're orientated. You've got a navigation system, and
Mhm.
it's
Quiet the
powerful.
noise. Quiet the noise. That is so
Quiet the
important. Like
noise and
sometimes
move
if you
towards what's pleasurable. In actual fact, move away from what hurts and what creates suffering. Move toward what feels good. We've got an inbuilt navigation system. It's there,
seriously,
just like
we
animals have. Yeah,
we're all like not in tune with it though. I mean, I know I wasn't when I got
yeah,
sick for sure. And then as I've healed, I'm like, oh wow, like the
yeah.
more that I connect with my intuition and use it, really the better
It's
I've
on
just
fire,
felt.
right? It's on
It's,
fire.
it's like, oh,
You're going
okay,
to do
yeah.
amazing things. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And then you do get insight about like what to do with that client. Oh yeah, I need to do this with that client. Or like it just kind
yeah.
of comes and it's like, oh, okay. And then
I love watching them get it. I love watching the penny drop. And so I noticed this probably about 6 or 7 years ago that you take, I think I was doing a little bit of hypnotherapy at some point, and I was noticing that the prep for a sort of hypnotic journey is a lot
Mm,
like a homeopathic run around. You take them around the body looking at what's going on where. And so it's an embodiment process. The person becomes quite embodied because they're going around the body thinking about scanning the body and seeing what's where, right? And then if
mm.
you ask them the question right there, why are you sick? Suddenly they'll tell you exactly why they're sick. And they know. They know what it's about. They know why they're
Mhm.
sick, when it happened. They can give you all those answers because they are really well embodied. So one of the things I really do with my clients is get them really well embodied, do some breath work with them and get them really in their
Mhm.
bodies.
Mm.
Because then they're in touch with their navigation system, quieten their minds down. I call it regulating the room, co-regulating the room, where you just like bring everybody's nervous system down in as
Mhm.
far as you can to a sort of parasympathetic, creative nervous system space. And then people are, boom, they're there with the answers.
I love
And
that
it's a
so much.
That's a
powerful
great
process.
idea. Hmm.
Right. In
And it's
contrast,
pleasurable. It's not traumatizing.
right, right. Which is that's the whole process is therapeutic. So,
Mm,
and then you add in the
it is.
homeopathic or the remedy rather, and then it's like, pfft, and then the three principles, we have the
Yes.
trifecta here.
Yeah.
So, in contrast, Ren, right, with clients I've had over the years in sitting in therapy, they're asking rhetorical questions. So I always call that to their attention. Well,
Yeah.
what's the answer you get back? Because we're so
Yes.
disconnected from our experience, but it's also a way of avoiding ourselves
Yeah.
because we're not tuning in to what we already know because they already know the answer. They just don't
That's
want
it.
to face whatever the answer means they need to do
Yeah.
or see or feel or know.
Because they mistake responsibility and blame.
Yeah.
Because in our
Mhm.
culture we do this a lot. If you really think about it, if you lived in a culture as a child where you took responsibility, you were praised for taking responsibility, and then an adult says to you, so what do you think would be a good solution to this? And then the kids come up with awesome, awesome solutions, which they then are very willing to carry out. I know because I used to teach Montessori, and before I taught Montessori, I taught in very difficult circumstances in Birmingham in the UK, and I was kind of known as the peace teacher, because well, I was a sociologist before I was a teacher. So what I did was I brought a lot of sociological understanding to my teaching. And so I would bring a lot about unconditional positive regard, about self-responsibility without blame. No fear, force, and guilt. Just hold responsibility for what happened without beating on yourself, without being beaten on, and then find some, how can we move this forward? So I used to do these peace conferences with the children, and
Mm.
when I was in Massachusetts, we were taking over a school that was failing school in a failing authority in Springfield, Massachusetts, and it was a really difficult environment. But that's what I was doing. I was just bringing the kids into peace conferences the whole time of like, you talk, you talk. Now we don't focus on who's to blame. We focus on how to move forwards. And when you take away that blame focus, people can sit in responsibility
Yeah.
comfortably, and then they are empowered. That we can be responsible. We don't have to blame ourselves or be blamed. We can be responsible. It's
Mm.
different.
It's
Mm.
powerful. It's very
It is.
powerful. Yeah, I
It-
like that.
mm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Wow. Well, Ren, this has been amazing. I like we could talk to you all day.
I know, it's mind blowing. I don't quite know what happened. The energy came in. It's so nice to talk about 3P.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it
don't get that
is.
many opportunities, and I'm
You can
just
come back and talk about it
like,
anytime you want
shall
here.
we? Should we
You're
just have the
welcome.
3P series?
Yeah.
Oh,
Anytime you'd like.
it's mind blowing.
We're open and willing to
Yeah.
hear that
And vice
conversation. So,
versa, because you must
hmm.
come on my podcast as well. We can do an
Yeah,
exchange.
yeah.
Thank you.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I've said this for years. Like the podcast for me is it's for other people, 100%, but it's also for
Yeah.
me and my own
Yeah,
expansion
me too.
and my own learning. And that's why I love talking with other people because I just get to grow as a
Yeah.
person and meet people like you who are amazing. So I love it. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Ren.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please tell us anything. Well, first of all, anything you want to leave the listeners with and anything you want to, where they can find you, all of that, or anything
Yeah.
else you want to share. So you have the floor of anything else you'd like to leave us
Okay.
with.
The simplest place to find me is wrenlloyd.com. That's
Yeah.
the very simplest place to find me. And you will find links to my school, Inspire School of Homeopathic Practice. It's apprenticeship diploma starting September 2026. So that's coming up intake until September 15th. And
Wow.
you probably might, if you twist my leg really hard, let me squeeze you in just after that, but not too much after that. It's a bit more expensive than standard schools because you are getting a lot more in terms of training that you're getting. So usually you come out the other end and you have to do your business training as well, and that costs an arm and a leg, but this is all rolled in.
Mm,
So you can find my team, International Homeopaths for Autism Neurodevelopmental Health, known as IH4A. You will find us on Facebook, and also just if you go to internationalhomeopathsforautism.com, you'll find us on the internet there as well. If
mm,
you want to, if you're a homeopath or a fairly late on student and you want to work in the area that I particularly specialize in, then get in touch because I have a membership, well, I have a team, as you know. It's not free. There is a cost to coming in, but you would be
mm,
welcome to come and explore that. And I am also doing on Friday this week, I'm doing a free 1 hour kind of case busting system, session. It's called Clinical Confidence Program. And I'm going to be teaching that in 8-week blocks. So for homeopaths who don't feel confident in their clinical work or they want to know more about complex cases or they've just
mm,
graduated and they just need that bit more. So any newly grads or seasoned homeopaths who need a bit more and they don't want to come into the kind of autism field, then that's for you, the clinical confidence program. I think that's about it. Well,
Wow.
podcast. Homeopathy is changing lives podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Definitely tune in. There's so many great episodes there. I really dived into it one day. I was just like download them all, and then like for a couple of weeks I was listening to all of them and loving
Brilliant
it.
episodes. We have one
Yeah.
question. We just have one question. I think there's two questions. I've kind of dropped the second question a bit. But my first question is just what idea or event, or what event or idea brought you to where you are now in your life and your career? And
And
it's
then
just
people
like, we
just
just start from there and it's just
go.
like, la 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 la. bit like ours. It just the ball just rolls. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
You get to hear about people, and quite
I love
often we'll
that.
just let people take over the podcast. That with Declan Hammond, he took over and did an episode, and then every now and again I have somebody just come and teach on there and take over.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's lectures on there. There's actually one of the episodes is my team meeting. So peek behind the team meeting. And then
Mm,
there's episodes from parents where parents talk about
Oh, I
their
love that.
experience. There's episodes from children who've been through lived through Pan's Pandas.
yes,
And
they're
it's
great.
just a real
So
variety of
inspiring. They're so inspiring
mm,
to listen to and just watch what
beautiful, right?
homeopathy has done. Yeah, they're so beautiful. And then you also have your work on polyfungy plus. There's so many things we could
I
talk about.
do. We haven't
Yeah, I
even
mean, we
talked
didn't
about
talk.
Polyfungy Plus.
I mean, that's like a
Yeah.
whole nother thing you could talk about. There's so many
Yeah.
things, you know. So
And I had a discount on my detox course. So I have a detox course that's really geared towards people, autistic people and people with mast cell activation, people who have sensitive systems, and it's homeopathic detox done very much for sensitive people. And I did have a 40% discount on that. That expires today. But what I'll do is I'll put a special code out if that's good for you.
yeah,
Perfect.
So
I'm
you
sure.
just tell me what the code should be, and I'll put that out, and people who are listening now can have that 40% discount anyway.
Awesome.
The
Awesome.
21st today, it's just expiring, but that's fine. It's
Yeah.
really good step by step. I like to write absolutely step by step by step. So it's not just for homeopaths, but for patients, people who
I'm
want
just
to do
curious as
themselves.
myself, as you know, my curiosity. Is it
I
different than
use it
what
to
Tanya?
train my team.
Is it different from Tanya Jansen and cease therapy? Yeah.
Yes,
The
it is.
slower
It's
pace
kind of
and the
hybrid. It's kind of hybrid.
yeah.
The hierarchy is different, and the posology is a bit different. It's more a little bit like cease, but we use the poly remedies,
Yeah.
and the hierarchy is a little different, and
Mm.
it's a bit more simple. It's a bit sparer, and we're working towards never having aggravations.
I mean,
No
isn't that the goal,
aggravation.
right? Not to
That's
have
the goal, isn't it?
aggravations.
That's the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. I
yeah.
know. Yeah.
That's
Well,
the
I'm glad
that
goal.
you have
all
the
sounds
three P's
amazing.
because you have so much. What a robust offering, and how you must be so busy, but you have the three P's, so I know you're just gliding through it now.
Yes, I'm gliding. I'm gliding. I'm gliding. That's right. I used to sort of look like a swan with very busy feet, but now I'm getting a little more towards Ian, who I always think of as a swan who's laying on his back like this with his feet just paddling like this.
Exactly. Yes.
That's how he goes through life.
Yes.
The Tao of homeopathy, the Tao of Ian Watson. So yeah, now I'm getting a little bit more towards that sort of.
Love it. I love it.
Still a lot going on. I need a lot. I
Yeah.
need a lot to be doing and
Mm.
creating something.
Well,
Yeah.
Wren, thank you so much. This has been
My
absolute
pleasure.
pleasure. Delightful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's been real. It's been a real joy to meet you both. And I
Yeah.
hope we'll rub shoulders a lot more and
Yes,
Yes,
me too.
do some
absolutely.
stuff together. And I'll send you a link to come on the podcast for sure.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And then I get to hear all about you. You see, I'm very nosy.
Okay, it's a deal.
Yeah, sounds great.
Brilliant. Yeah, lots of love, folks. Thank you for having me. So nice
Anyway.
to meet you.